My name's I've owned 2 fig meat practices in Whangarei, and I just want to ask Warren some, question about animals, just working out where we're going to go if he gets elected. Okay. Now, Warren, if you've been pretty proactive in animal welfare to do with the pound and things like that, if you got elected as mayor, where would you stand and what would you do as far as animal welfare is concerned?
My actual focus wouldn't change from what it's been in the last 3, 4, 5 years. All my life I've been caring about animals. But back in 2007 we actually got the council to look at the situation of the animal control in Whangarei. They put a review before council which was adopted, and there was some 35 different projects that they wanted to undertake. Last year I gave them 2 years to get their act together. And then last year we actually applied officially to actually go and revisit the pound, and unfortunately that was turned down. I do have concerns about why it was turned down, and if they had nothing to hide, I would believe we would have been welcomed there with open arms. And that's what I want to do, is really focus on it and make sure things are better in Whangarei for animal control and the rest of it. I believe there should be registration of all dogs, and that's something they have to focus on. And I'd also like to see Whangarei being a more dog-friendly town. I think if we can have it and have the responsibility going back onto the owners to be responsible about the animals, I think there's nothing wrong with seeing a dog sitting at someone's feet at an outdoor cafe and things like that, like other towns in New Zealand, cities do in New Zealand. I think we've got to work and hopefully work together to make things better.
Yep. I was involved with a group in the council at one stage to try and improve the lot for dog owners, and that just didn't go anywhere. So do you believe that that's something that could change?
I think anything like that's got to be looked at, and I think it's most important to have professional people like yourself on board to give the advice where it's needed, because I don't believe they have all the qualifications to know about it, and I know they have the Dog Control Act and that, but I think you also need outside assistance from professional people to help to make things better in the long term.
Brilliant.
I'm Barry Tetley, and I'm the Minister of St James Uniting Church in Whangarei. I've been involved in the local community association and edited the Whangarei Orbit. So naturally we're interested in local affairs, and we've been very interested in the sewerage issues that have affected Whangarei, the seaside suburb. Warren, I think a question that's sort of on everybody's mind is, how are you going to manage, would you become mayor, the council debt, the infrastructure deficit that we suffer from in the district, and yet keep rates at a manageable level for householders and families?
I think the important thing there is, Barry, first of all I'd like to say thank you, because you do a lot for the community in Whangarei. You've been very proactive out here, and you have done extremely lot of work, and I'd like to recognise that.
Thanks.
The big thing with it is there's always going to be some rate increases, okay? We've got to keep it within a very, very close percentage, okay? I think if money is spent on basic infrastructure and sewerage comes into that, people don't want to see unnecessary projects built at great cost to ratepayers. If money was budgeted for, I think we've got to put a plan into action for our sewage. We do have a problem with sewage, we all know that. I mean, Whangarei is the harbour of 100 beaches, yet we can't use them.
Yes. Okay,
and we've got to budget now and look to a long-term plan. It might be 10 years, it might be 15 years, it might even be 20, to budget the expensive costs that it's going to be for the sewage, and that's what we have to do. We've got to start now. We can't keep putting it off. There's always a catch-up time with rates. Okay, if people in the past have kept rates down, well, we all know, let's be realistic, the cost of living is always going up. We've got to keep paying rates, and if we don't have any increases at all, one day there's going to be a big catch-up, and I think that's what we've been facing, and that's what we're in fear of facing big time. Your question was in keeping the debt down. I think we need to focus more on the needs of the community than the wants of some people. We have to focus on what we really, really need. We can all go to a shop and look in the window and go, gee, that's nice, I'd like that, but you've got to ask yourself the question, do I need it? And it's very, very different, the answer you'll get. So I hope that answers your questions to your satisfaction.
Yep.
My name is John Hackworthy, and I've had issues with the council as regards drainage with my section. If you're elected as mayor, what will you do to help the drainage and also the sewerage around town?
Okay, well the thing is, I think probably the big issue that you had was the way that you felt you were treated by some of the staff. The staff, there's a difference between governance and management. And as mayor, I would have to liaise with the CEO and get the culture of the staff changed through that channel. Okay, at the present time, the mayor can't interfere directly with the staff. So I hear what you say, and that's one way we'd have to look at it, is certainly when I'm elected in there, get in there and make sure that the culture and the attitude of the senior people change, because it's if the attitude's bad at the top, it flows all the way through. That's what we've got to change. Would that be to your satisfaction? You asked the question about the sewerage.
Yep, well it's got to change.
It's got to be fixed, right? There are major issues with the harbour. It's going to be a long process, but we've got to start the process now. We've got a budget for it, put a plan into action, and then make it happen.
You're speaking about budgeting. I see in the local leader today that we're paying $53,000 a month on interest.
That'll be right.
That's ratepayers' money getting wasted.
That's correct. I mean, I think
what are you doing about that?
Well, the thing is, all we can do about that is we have to reduce the debt, and I think we have to look at the only way we can reduce the debt in the immediate future is to stop unnecessary spending. We have to spend on the essential issues, but I think we've got to actually hold back and pull back on the reins a bit on some of the unnecessary projects. I mean, we're all in the same boat, you know. We all have so much a week to live on, and things that we'd like to buy and things we can afford to buy is very, very different.
Well, the wastage is colossal the way I see it.
Let's go. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lorraine Craig. Warren, I have a question that's really dear to me, and that is the accountability of the councillors once they're elected. There seems to be no transparency, and the lack of voting in Whangarei, I believe it was only 42% at the last election, concerns me as to why people feel apathetic. Do you think it's because they're saying, well, what can you do anyway? Yeah, I feel quite strongly on that one.
Actually, it's I hear exactly what you're saying, and quite often I've asked the same question. It's very sad when people don't come out every 3 years to have their say. Their say is so important, and I think quite often they actually probably do feel, are they going to listen? And it's like the submission processes that we all encounter.
Absolutely.
And I think the communication from our councillors, like I can talk personally from my own electorate. The previous council, every year I got a letter in the mail at Christmas time with a toffee from the local representative giving me a bit of an update what's happened. This last term, nothing. And I know, speaking to other other areas, other ward residents, they've said that they've heard nothing. It's like there's a big cone of silence. And I mean, it's like there's only a couple of people having any say, and that's something that I will certainly be encouraging. I believe with the means that we have at council there, and I say we because it's for everybody, it is owned by the ratepayers. They have rate bills go out every quarter, they have advertising in the newspaper, and it should be more representation from the people that you voted for should be coming back to you and communicating regularly about what's happening. But you're right, there's been nothing, and that's something that as mayor, and I'm only one vote, will really be endeavouring to change. Very much so.
There's areas that I wouldn't dare go, which I feel is wrong. What plans have you got of making Whangarei a safer place?
Okay, it's a pretty serious issue. We've got some issues out there, I know, and the recent media articles have been in regards to lack of response from police. I personally believe the police are definitely understaffed. I believe the police in Whangarei are trying to do a good job. They've had some pretty good success rates on some crimes. I do get on well with a lot of the senior officers up here, and one of the things, I know council's been working very closely with police on a lot of projects. I mean, in the CBD they've had closed circuit TVs and all the rest of it, and there's programs going on. I think they can be increased, and personally I think we've got to work closer with the police. They need the support of the councils, and if they get that support, it goes back to Wellington, and therefore Wellington can give the police in Whangarei and other districts more support. But I think they're understaffed. I think we need more staff, and to be honest, I mean, they've got some pretty hard people they've got to deal with.
True.
And they've got a pretty tough job, and I mean, they've got to get all the support they can from council, and I'm right behind that. Definitely right behind it.
Great.
Thank you.